Let's talk about awakening. We're in the midst of what they're calling the Great Awakening, the end of the Piscean Age, the beginning of the Aquarian Age, the end of a Kali Yuga cycle. There's all kinds of stories written about it in ancient cultures. And this is the time everybody's talking about the Great Awakening. But what does it mean to awaken? I'll tell you my personal story. Maybe you can resonate with it. Um, you know, remember Plato wrote that allegory about the cave? All the people were sitting in a cave looking at shadows on the wall, thinking they were seeing reality. And then when someone left, that person realized that wasn't real at all. It was all an illusion. And then when he came back and tried to tell his friends what he found out, they really weren't interested because they hadn't had their own experience. Until you have your own personal experience, you can't resonate with it really. You have to have the experience in order to get yourself to the next level and the next level and the next level. Well, I've told the story before about how I flew away when I was 20 to be a stewardess. And one of the big reasons, aside from the fact that I wanted some adventure and excitement and to travel the world in my life, I had seen these through UFOs up close. So I wanted to find out where they were coming from. And one of my first big aha moments was when I started asking pilots if they'd had any experiences with UFOs, and I saw them clam up and freeze up and get very distraught over me even asking the question. I realized there was a UFO cover-up. And that was my first clue that there are a lot of secrets on this planet. Then I started hearing about the shadow government, and I wanted to know more about that. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means there are other people that are in control of the way this planet operates. And it's not necessarily the president or the people that run the individual governments that are running the show. And I dug into that one and found out there's a lot to it. That was another aha moment. Then I started to find out through my travels and having experiences with things that were happening on the planet up close. I could see different events, and then I would see on the news that it wasn't really presented the way it had happened many times. And I would even interview people that were involved in high up in government or media to find out if we were being lied to in the news. And sure enough, I found out we don't necessarily get the truth about things that are going on the planet. And besides that, even when you get it, it's old news by the time we hear it in the news, because we're being programmed. So I figured that part out. And then I also discovered, with my contact with spirituality and teachers, that we're creating our own reality with our inner world. The outer world is a reflection of the way we think and the way we act and our belief system. And we are a product of our belief systems. And if we don't want to continue on a certain path, we have to work on ourselves in the inner world to change that pattern, to change those beliefs. And I learned how to do that to a certain extent, where I could manifest when I needed to. Then I began to study spiritual healing because I had the need for a spiritual healing after a bad diagnosis. And I was able to find out through a lot of pain and fear and horror that I went through when I got the diagnosis that, yes, we can heal ourselves. That was a really big aha moment where I awakened to the realization that our higher selves, our mind, our Christ consciousness controls our bodies if we let it, if we get ourselves congruent, if we get aligned with it, and if we surrender and we accept that we can do pretty amazing things and we allow it to happen, it can happen. So that was another very big aha moment for me. And it makes me realize that everyone on the planet is going through their own journey. We're all here to test ourselves, to have a pleasant experience, hopefully, and enjoy what we're doing. When we find our purpose, it does become a lot more pleasurable to operate here in the 3D world because we're on a mission. We find out that we did come here for a purpose. And the more we align with it and the more we work with it, the better life gets, because things start to line up very harmoniously when we're doing that. If we're just kind of mucking around trying to figure out what to do and taking up time and space without having any definite purpose, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder because we're not aligned with our true self, our authentic self. But when you do figure all these different levels of awakening out, you may be having a political awakening, a financial awakening, a physical awakening, a spiritual awakening. There's all kinds of awakenings, but they're all good because they're all leading us to ultimately that oneness, that alignment with the divine one mind consciousness that we're all part of. And when you find that, you get rid of anxiety, you get rid of stress, you're not afraid of your body, you're not afraid of life, because you know you have inner power. And when you find that inner power through whatever practice you're using, there are many paths out there, but they're all leading to the same place. And when you find the one that's right for you and you start working with it, you'll find that you have an awakening.